Hailey, and today I'm going to be talking about my January TBR. So welcome back to regular videos. The last video that I filmed was in like mid-December, and that was one of my Bookmas videos. So I might be a little bit out of practice, but hopefully not. But I hope that you guys enjoyed Bookmas. I actually was sick for the majority of Bookmas, so thank God I pre-filmed everything because it was crazy at work, and just being sick, it was not a great time. But I did have lots of fun preparing Bookmas and everything. It was bigger than I've ever done it before, and I think it was more work than I was expecting it to be, but I do enjoy doing it every year, so we'll see what I do next year, but that is a long ways away. So for the last video of Bookmas, my focus of that was my most anticipated releases for this coming year, but I also talked a little bit about my reading plan. Basically, the gist of this year is that I have no idea how my reading is going to go. I have no clue if I'm going to end up reading a lot, if I'm not going to end up reading a lot. As I think I mentioned in that video, if not, I've mentioned it in reading vlogs or on Twitter, I really want the focus of this year to be my writing. I really want to accomplish my writing goals, since that has been a lifelong dream of mine to become a published author, and I want this to be the year that I do it and I stop like putting it off. I want to just do it this year. So that's my main goal. But that being said, I do have so many amazing books on my TBR that I really want to get to and I want to read. So I feel like this month is going to be kind of a learning curve a little bit, with me finding a good balance between reading time and writing time. And I'm hoping that the books that I have chosen for my TBR, the ones that I'm most interested in at the moment, will kind of help me push through that learning curve and read a lot this month. But if I don't read a lot this month, that's okay too. But I do have so many books that I want to get to, so I'm hoping that I will have a successful month. So I've actually divided this TBR by genre. So starting off, I have a few sci-fi books here. So this video is sponsored by Simon & Schuster in honor of the recent release of Thunderhead, the sequel to Scythe by Neal Shusterman. I read Scythe back in 2016 and it absolutely blew me away with how cool and inventive of a story it was. Neal Shusterman is the author of the Unwind dystology, and I read the first book of that and I really loved it. And he just has a talent for writing really creepy and terrifying and just engrossing reads, and this was definitely no exception. So the world of Scythe is a world where there's no hunger, there's no misery, no sadness, no disease, no one dies naturally. The only way that the population is kept in check is by these people who are scythes, which is basically the Grim Reaper. They go around and they know the art of killing, so they can end people's lives and keep the population down. The main characters of this novel, Citra and Rowan, end up finding themselves in a situation that they aren't happy with. They are scythe apprentices, so they are charged with learning the art of killing so they can become a future scythe. After the ending of this book and knowing how much I loved it, I was so excited when I heard about Thunderhead coming out, and I cannot wait to read it. I think it's going to be an amazing sequel, probably pretty disturbing as his novels usually are, but they're honestly books that just keep you on the edge of your seat and keep you guessing the entire time, and they really bring about important questions, and they're honestly just crazy. I don't even know how else to describe them. So I think I might listen to the audiobook for Scythe in order to kind of refresh my memory, or I might just dive right into Thunderhead. We'll see, but I definitely do want to get to Thunderhead this month. And if you're looking for a thrilling, unique new story this year, I definitely recommend that you check these books out. The next book on my TBR is actually a book that I'm currently listening to, and that is The Thousandth Floor by Katharine McGee. I've been listening to the audiobook for this since like November, but I ended up putting it down and marathoning the entire Books of Bayern series, so I'm excited to get back into it. I'm more than halfway through this, so I should be finishing it soon, but I do find it a little bit hard to follow sometimes just because there are so many characters and so many perspectives that you're following. And in case you don't know what this is about, it follows a bunch of characters set in futuristic Manhattan, and there's this building that has 1,000 floors, and like where you live basically determines your class, and it's just very interesting. Really a cool read. Not what I expected it to be, but in a good way. Next I have a few fantasy books because I love reading fantasies, especially high fantasies in the winter time. So the first one is once again a book that I'm currently reading, and that is Even the Darkest Stars by Heather Fawcett. This was actually picked out by you guys because sometimes when I can't decide what to read, I'll do a Twitter poll, but instead of having the titles for all of the books, what I do is I pick out 4 books and then I have a number corresponding to them, and then I have you guys just pick a number for it. So you guys ended up picking this one. It was number 3 out of all of them. If you want to see the other choices, then you can follow me on Twitter. Also, if you want to participate in the next time I do that, or you can also watch my reading vlog because I talk about it a little bit there. But I'm about 130 pages into this and I am really enjoying it. I do find it a little bit confusing and a little bit slower paced, but I love the world. It's basically everything that I've wanted from a fantasy world. There's dragons, there's little animals that are called familiars. It's like a mountainous landscape landscape and there's exploration and stuff. I'm taking a little bit to get into it, but it is definitely a really quick read. I just need to, I think, get to know the characters a little bit more, and then I will be fully engrossed in it. So hopefully I will get a little bit more information about the characters and I'll be able to just lose myself in this world. Next is The Crown's Fate by Evelyn Skye. I read The Crown's Game, I think it was last year. It was either last year or the year before, and it's a really cool fantasy set in Russia where these two characters are competing to be the Tsar's appointed magician, basically. They would be a conduit almost that would contain all of the magic of the empire, I guess. I'm really struggling for words at the moment. But it's just this magical competition. It was super cool. I loved watching the magic. I loved the writing of it. So I really want to get to the sequel because I feel like, based on the fact that I loved the first book so much, I will probably enjoy this, and I'm hoping I will. And the Russian setting just makes me think it would be good for winter. Next is actually another Russian-inspired novel, and that is The Bear and the Nightingale by Katharine Arden. I don't know a ton about this book, but from my understanding, it is a retelling or reimagining of Russian folklore, and I don't know if it's actually set in Russia, but I know that people have said it's a really good winter read because of the setting, and I mean, even the cover just makes me think it will be really good for winter, so I'm hoping to get to this very soon. And the last fantasy on my TBR is probably going to be my next read because I have been hearing nothing but amazing things about it, so I want to see if it lives up to all the hype. And that is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. No, I've never read anything by Holly Black except for, actually that's a lie, because I read the one that she co-wrote with Cassandra Clare. I know the series is the Magisterium series, but I can't think of what the first, Iron Trial. That's what it is, Iron Trial. So I read that and I liked it, but I mean, that's also co-authored. So I feel like to really judge Holly Black's writing, I need to read something that she has written on her own. And this is all about fairies, and that's all I really know about it. I know that she is said to be like the queen of fairies, so we'll see if she lives up to that hype. But honestly, this has been all over like all of my bookish social media, so I definitely need to see what everyone is talking about. Next, I have a few historical fictions because I love me some historical fiction in winter time, let me tell you. Basically, my main reads for winter are historical fictions and then high fantasies, but historical fictions, I just feel like winter, I don't know why, it's just the perfect time for them. So the first book is one of the books that has been on my TBR for the longest, and that is Anna and the Swallow Man by Gavriel Savit. I have had this book for so long, and I've actually started it a couple of times, but then I've put it down for whatever reason. Not because I wasn't enjoying it. I've gotten like 5 pages in and then I get distracted by something else, which actually happened this past week. I ended up picking up Even the Darkest Stars instead of this one. This is a magical realism, another genre that I really love, that is set in Poland during World War II, and it follows our main character whose father has been taken to a concentration camp, and she ends up meeting the Swallow Man, and the Swallow Man and her end up going on this journey, but she knows that the Swallow Man is also in danger of being taken just like her father. So there's lots of trials and tribulations along the way, and it seems like it's going to be a very hard-hitting but magical story at the same time. I'm kind of thinking along the lines of The Book Thief, so I'm hoping that I won't be disappointed. Next is another book that kind of reminds me a little bit of The Book Thief, and that is The Librarian of Auschwitz by Antonio Iturbe, translated by Lilit Thwaites. I think of all the books that I own at the present moment, this is probably going to be the most difficult read because this is actually based on a true story. So it says right on the back, based on the experiences of real-life Auschwitz prisoner Dita Kraus, this is the incredible story of a girl who risked her life to keep the magic of books alive during the Holocaust. So this is definitely going to be a book that I'll have to be in the right mindset to go into. I think it's going to be an incredibly powerful story, and I definitely want to try and get to it very soon because I feel like this is a story that needs to be heard. So I'm very much looking forward to reading this, even though it's going to be a very difficult read. Next is The Girl in the Blue Coat by Monica Hesse. This is another World War II set novel. Apparently all the historical fictions I was in the mood for are World War II historical fictions. I just have a ton of that on my TBR, and it is one of my favorite eras to read about just because I think it's important to read about and you learn a lot from it. But this is a World War II historical fiction set in Amsterdam, which definitely intrigues me just because I've talked to my relatives who were in Nazi-occupied Netherlands because my mom's side of the family is from there. So I have talked about them and heard some of the stories, so I think that's why this one sticks out to me so much. But this follows a girl who ends up getting caught up in some risky business during the war, so I'm very intrigued by it. And the final historical fiction is once again another World War II one, and that is The Nightingale by Kristin Hannah. This is actually an adult book, and this is one that has been recommended to me by countless coworkers and customers at work actually when they know that I really love World War II historical fiction. I know very little about this story because I just kind of want to go into it, but from my understanding, I think it follows follows sisters in Nazi-occupied France. I could be very wrong, but like I said, I just want to go into it and see what happens. And the final two books on my TBR are a couple of contemporaries. So first we have Foolish Hearts by Emma Mills. Similarly to The Cruel Prince by Holly Black, I have heard nothing but amazing things about this book. It follows two characters who have been cast in a production of The Midsummer Night's Dream, and that is my favorite Shakespeare play, so that was like all I needed to know, and I was like, I am hooked. And I was very excited when this came in the December Owl Crate because I had wanted to read it. It's been, once again, all over my news feed, all over all of my bookish social media, so I was like, I need this now. And the final book on my TBR is Love Life in the List by Kasie West. I've had this for a while and I've really wanted to read it, but I just haven't gotten the chance. But I love the concept of it for the new year because it follows an artist who is really struggling to find her voice. Her art has been said to have been lacking in heart, and that's really difficult for her to wrap her head around. So she creates this whole list of things that are crazy, and she's going to do them in a very short period of time in order to gain the life experience that she feels she needs to make her art amazing. I just really love things that encourage you to break out of your shell and try new things and step outside of your comfort zone, because that's something that I struggle with. I really like my comfort zone. The reason it's called a comfort zone is because I'm very comfortable there. So I do love reading books that encourage me to try new things. So those are all of the books on my January TBR. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if you have read any of these books, your thoughts on them, or any of the books that are on your January TBR. This isn't even counting like the pre-orders that I have that should be coming in soon. I don't even remember what I pre-ordered, but once those books come in, this could be a game changer. But thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to subscribe. I put out new videos every Monday and Thursday. And you can also follow me on my social media. My Twitter is at HailesandBookland, and I also have Instagram, and my Instagram is at HaileyandBookland. But all of that information is down below for you guys. So I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!